Hi, it's Margo Dawson from Train Them Up for Success on Raising Culturally Sensitive Kids. Before we go into our story time today, I'd like to just encourage parents on taking action, just taking small steps to make sure that your kids have cultural sensitivity. You know, my journey started, of course, with my two children when they were really young. Taking action as a parent is something that we often are called to do, whether you're a parent, a teacher, a grandparent, or people who deal with kids. What propelled me in 1992 to pack up my kids and a bag of puppets and do multicultural education was one incident that happened to our oldest son. He was 4 years old. He was at preschool. And I'm not going to go into the incident. You could read about it in my book. But that one incident helped me to see that parents have to sometimes take things into their own hand, especially with their kids' education, their kids' awareness in terms of who they are, and even sensitivity to people around them. So I started doing multicultural workshops in Massachusetts. I did everything from workshops at libraries, preschools, until eventually I even came to North Carolina and started working with law enforcement. So what I'd like to do is take you back, and I'd like to read an old-time favorite called Bringing the Rain to Kapiti Plane by Verna Ardema and pictures by Beatrice Vidal. Bring the kids on in. After I read this story, tune in for the follow-up fun activities that we're going to do. We're going to actually make rain clouds and tornadoes, and I'm going to provide extra resources for you and your child and your students to go and have some fun. This is the great Kapiti Plane, all fresh and green from the African rains. A sea of grass for the ground birds to nest in, and patches of shade for wild creatures to rest in. With trees for giraffes to browse on, and grass for the herdsmen to pasture their cows on. One year the rains were so very belated that all the big wild creatures migrated. Then Keepat helped to end that terrible drought, and this story tells how it all came about. This is the cloud all heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plane. This is the grass all brown and dead that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. A black cloud all heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plane. These are the cows all hungry and dry who moved for the rain to fall from the sky to green up the grass all brown and dead that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud all heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plane. This is Keepat, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Keepat, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they moved for the rain to fall from the sky, to green up the grass all brown and dead that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud all heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plane. This is the eagle who dropped a feather that helped to change the weather. It fell near Keepat, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Keepat, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they moved for the rain to fall from the sky, to green up the grass all brown and dead that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud all heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plane. This is the arrow Keepat put together with a slender stick and an eagle feather. From the eagle who happened to drop a feather that helped to change the weather. It fell near Keepat, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Keepat, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they moved for the rain to fall from the sky, to green up the grass all brown and dead that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. The big black cloud all heavy with rain that shadowed the ground on Kapiti Plane. This was the shot that pierced the cloud and loosed the rain with thunder loud. A shot from the bow so long and strong, and strung with a string, a leather thong. A bow for the arrow Keepat put together, with a slender stick and an eagle feather. From the eagle who happened to drop a feather that helped change the weather. It fell near Keepat, who watched his herd as he stood on one leg like the big stork bird. Keepat, whose cows were so hungry and dry, they moved for the rain to fall from the sky to green up the grass, all brown and dead, that needed the rain from the cloud overhead. So the grass grew green and the cattle fat, and Keepat got a wife and a little Keepat who tends the cows now and shoots down the rain, like his father when black clouds shadow Kapiti Plane. What a wonderful story. This was my son's favorite story, bringing the rain to Kapiti Plane. A fun experiment. We're going to do a cloud in a jar. All you need is to get a regular jar, some water from your faucet, shaving cream if you can get that, and some simple food coloring. So let's see what happens. We're going to fill the jar up, not totally full, maybe 3/4 of the way, leaving enough room to put our shaving cream. Next, get our shaving cream, shake it up really, really, really good. And we're going to start adding our shaving cream in the jar. There we go, on top of the water. Now I've got a lot on there. Next, we're going to put a few drops of food coloring. Can you see that? And we're going to wait to see what takes place. Let's create a tornado in a jar. The cool thing about when you're doing science is that you can use so many of your skills, like measuring, which is a math skill. So I'm going to pour, let's see how many cups it's going to take to fill this jar up. Count them with me. Using regular water to fill it up in a jar. That's 1. That's 2. We want to fill it up to the top. This isn't quite 3. This is about half. So that took about 2.5 cups of water. All right, so we're going to squirt in a little bit of dishwashing liquid. A couple of squirts. Oh, look at those bubbles that came up. Let's see. 1, 2. I'm going to put a little bit more in. All right, let's make sure we put our lid on our jar. And now, using your muscles, we're going to spin it around as hard as we can and as fast as we can. And the goal here is to simulate what really looks like a tornado. Now look close. What do you see? We often call that a vortex, but can you see that? Let's do it again. With a lot of our energy, spin fast, 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 fast. And wow, look at that. Wow, now that was really fun. Let's see what happens if we add some food coloring. If you don't have it, it's okay. Just a little bit more. That's the fun thing about science. We can always experiment. So I'm going to add some food coloring, just a few drops. And I'm going to put my lid on top. And I'm going to do that same action. I hope it's on good. I'm going to shake. Wow, I'm going to spin, 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 spin. Shake it, twirling it around as hard as I can. And let's see. Cool. Or we still see that little tornado, but not as much as when it was clear. There we go. Wow, there we go. Now, of course, tornadoes can be quite harmful, so I'd rather make a tornado in a jar than to have one out in the atmosphere because they can be quite destructive. So this was really fun. We did a cloud in a jar and a tornado in a jar.